right, welcome back to the Vulcan Test Kitchen. We're excited to have you guys again. Appreciate your time. We're joined by Chef Pete today, and Chef, why don't you tell them at home what we're going to be doing today?
Today we're going to be cooking chili in the 6-gallon kettle. I'm using that specifically because it's great for doing liquid products, stocks, sauces, things like that. Because it is a 2/3 jacketed kettle, I get nice even heat from every direction. I've also got a really high gauge 316 stainless steel. Traditionally, chili has tomato sauce in it, high tomato sauce, high acid, bad for metal. So having the strength of that steel is really helpful for me.
Great, and you're able to do all of that just in the kettle?
Yep. I'll be able to cook the meat, drain off the fat, then I'll add in the other ingredients at a high temperature to cook the onions and then onions and garlic, and then add the rest of the ingredients, let it all simmer out, and I'll end up with a great batch of chili. Today I'm going to be making some chili in our K6ETT kettle. It's a 6-gallon kettle. That's what the 6 stands for. I've got the embossed markings on the back of the kettle so I can see how much product is in there. But if you'll notice, this 6-gallon line is not at the top of the kettle. What that means is that this is 6 gallons, but I still have some room to stir, for things to boil a little bit. I've got an actual working volume of 6 gallons, not the total volume of 6 gallons. And that's important. All of our kettles have that. That's something that we feel is important to make sure that the end user is going to get consistent results, and we can help with that by including that feature. Little tiny bit of oil into my kettle. My kettle's already preheated. I just want to make sure that I reduce or minimize the sticking that I'm going to get. So I've preheated my kettle, and if you remember the rule, hot pan and cold food means the food won't stick as much. I'm going to add in the ground beef. You can hear it cooking in the kettle right now. You hear the searing starting to happen. I'm going to spread out the ground beef. So as I start to cook this ground beef in the kettle, I keep tapping off my spoon. We have a heavy rim bar that is part of the construction of the kettle that is made to withstand that kind of use. But it's going to happen in every kitchen on every kettle. And so we've built in some extra protection of the kettle to make sure that it lasts a little longer for everybody. The kettle, it's 316 stainless that has a much higher corrosion resistance. It's more resistant to acid. I'm going to be using tomato sauce in the chili that I'm making today. Tomatoes have a high acid content, so having the 316 stainless is going to make sure that I'm less likely to have any corrosion in my kettle. As I'm cooking this ground beef, I want to make sure that the fat is cooking out of it. Fat renders out of the beef as I cook, and I want to make sure I do that and then drain it off because I don't want an oil slick on the top of my bowl of chili. I'm going to use a strainer to tilt the skillet forward and catch the meat, to let the fat drip out. I've got a safety feature here. It's called a tilt lock. I have to pull this out so I can't accidentally pull over this kettle. But if you see, I'm gonna drain out the fat. Okay, add in onions, 3 large onions. Now that I've got the onions and the meat together, I'm going to let those cook together for a little bit to let the onions start to sweat out some of their moisture and to start to flavor the meat. And then I'm going to add some garlic. I didn't want to add the garlic at the same time as the onions because the garlic will burn faster. So I'm going to add the garlic second. But I'm going to add the garlic in and then stir that around. Once that's done, I'm going to add the rest of my ingredients, and we'll get to that in just a second. So the controls on the kettle are always very, very simple. You can see that I've got a dial control with warm, simmer, and boil. I'm adjusting my heat with that dial. I've got an on-off button, And I've got a low water warning light in case my water in my jacketed kettle is too low to make steam. Keeping my product moving. If you can hear the heat building back up in the kettle, I adjusted the heat back up to make sure the onions were gonna get all the way cooked. You can hear this is another one of those classic kitchen pieces of equipment that sound is part of how you're managing it. So I've got more, you can hear the liquid cooking out of the onions, you hear the sizzle of them. Now that those onions are starting to get a little translucent, I'm gonna be able to add in my garlic. Chopped garlic. I'm gonna stir that in and give it just a quick second to cook off the raw flavor of the garlic, but it's not gonna take very long. I also have some chili spices that I'm gonna add. And now I'm gonna turn my heat down a little bit as I add my liquid and the beans. Just so I don't splash myself. Then we're gonna add some beans. A few cans of beans are gonna go in here. So now that I have my heat turned down and all of my ingredients in, I'm gonna let this simmer for a little while, let those flavors develop, let those flavors meld together, and then we'll serve this chili here in a little bit.
Hi there, it's Kim Dowry, and I want you to view the thermal image on here today. And what we have talked about many times before is that with steam jacketed kettles, you will not get hot spots or scorched soups. And you can see that by viewing this thermal image. Range burners only heat the bottom of the stockpot pan, and with a gas burner from a range, this extreme temperature, 2000 degrees or higher, can burn and scorch the food, and plus more than 50% of the energy is exhausted up to the hood. A steam jacketed kettle provides a larger heat transfer surface, resulting with more energy transferred to the food, so you can cook more with a steam jacketed kettle while reducing your total energy load every single time.
The K6ETT 6-gallon kettle has water to it. So if I want to add water to a recipe or to a sauce or a stock for making stocks that I'm going to start with water, then that's great for that. It's also very helpful for washing out the kettle at the end of the day. Another thing that is important with any piece of equipment is serviceability. Any one of the three elements in this kettle can be taken out individually and exchanged. So I don't have to remove an entire heating system. I can just take one piece if that piece has gone bad. And then also for the liquid inside, it is just distilled tap water so that we don't get corrosion. We use distilled water on the inside. So my chili's all finished. I'm gonna go ahead and turn my kettle off. Now I'm gonna use the tilt lock to unlock the tilting mechanism. I'm gonna get a container for my chili, and I'm gonna very carefully pour some chili into this container. Grab my spoon, finish the bottom of the kettle is ellipsoidal. It's slightly oval shaped, which allows the product to move towards the front, and it makes it easier to drain that product out. Right now, while the kettle is still warm, I'm gonna add some water to it to make it easier to clean up. All right. But cleaning a kettle is usually pretty easy. Things don't generally stick to them and scorch. So now I'm gonna go over and plate some chili, put a bowl of chili out, and you can tell me what you think. So today I made chili in the K6ETT 6-gallon kettle. The chili came out great. It all came up to temperature very quickly, and I was able to turn it down to a simmer and let it simmer out, and ended up with a great dish. A kettle is going to be found in any kitchen where large volumes of liquid products are being done. Soups, stocks, sauces, in varying sizes. We've got kettles big enough that I could stand in, and then little tiny guys like this one.
And what's the advantage of using the kettle over like a normal stock pot, let's say?
Well, the biggest advantage of a kettle versus a stock pot is if you think about the heat on a stock pot is only coming from the bottom, whereas in a jacketed kettle, I have heat coming around the kettle 365 degrees, 2/3 of the way up the entire height of the kettle. So I'm going to get much faster heating. I'm going to get much faster boiling. It's a very gentle way of putting heat energy into the food. And so if I turn it down to a very low temperature, I'll get a nice, slow, long reduction to build a lot of flavor into my dish and not scorch it.
Hello, this is Kim Dowry, and I am the Business Development Manager for the Steam Business Unit at Vulcan, and we cover braising pans, kettles, and steamers. We've talked many times about standard features of the Vulcan kettles, and a lot of those features does set us apart from other manufacturers. They include true working capacity, the embossed gallon and liter markings, and the heavy bar rim, which the chef talked about earlier in the video. Most importantly though, all Vulcan kettles come with a 3/16 stainless steel liner. That is all Vulcan kettles. Many of our competitors offer 3/16 stainless steel liners at an additional cost beginning with 60-gallon kettles, but not here at Vulcan. Again, we've talked about many different options and accessories, and those that are available for our kettles include several different faucet styles, different types of draw-off valves. We have correction packages available. Motorized power tilt is also available on tilting units. We offer cleanup kits, different types of covers. We have a pouring lip strainer for our kettles. And then we also offer a drain pan with a food-grade hose. On our 2/3 jacketed kettles, those do come in 6, 12, 20, 40, and 60-gallon capacities. The 6 and 12-gallon countertop kettles are only available in electric, but the remaining kettles are available in gas, electric, and direct steam. When you get the fully jacketed kettles, those are available in 40, 60, 80, 100, and 150 gallons. And again, they are also all available in gas, electric, and steam. Mentioned many times before and in this video, kettles are versatile and can be used in any food service operation. Some great examples of that are potatoes for mashers, macaroni and cheese. We've actually done a nice video with our braising pan on macaroni, but macaroni can be done in the kettle as well as the braising pan. Different types of sauces, gravies, chilies, soups, and much more. Thank you for watching today, and if you have additional questions about Vulcan kettles, do not ever hesitate to reach out.